What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we're going to be talking about SpongeBob. Now, like many of you, I grew up watching SpongeBob. I was born at the turn of the century, right when SpongeBob was kind of, as a show coming together, and it was also starting to kind of blow up as a show. It's become one of the most influential cartoons of all time. Not only had my generation grown up watching the show, but the next generation afterwards also grew up watching the show. That's how influential this show became. Well, according to the article that we're about to read, it's horrible. It's the worst thing ever. Well, according to the article that we're about to read, basically this whole time we've just been led astray, and we were idiots for even thinking this. So, SpongeBob is violent. It is insidious. It is racist, and it's just the worst thing ever. It's ridiculous, man. We're gonna read this article. Let me see what you guys think. Let me know what you think down below at the end of this, of course, after you hear everything. Love to hear your guys' thoughts and feedback, of course. Well, anyways, this is all coming from a University of Washington professor by the name of Holly Barker. She published her musings on the yellow sponge cartoon character and his deep-sea pals in an academic journal called the Contemporary Pacific, a journal of island affairs, which features readable articles focused on, quote, social, economic, political, ecological, and cultural topics. In her article titled Unsettling SpongeBob and the Legacies of Violence in Bikini Bottom, Barker's chief complaint hinges in her perception that the show's fictional setting of the town of Bikini Bottom. In her article titled Unsettling SpongeBob and the Legacies of Violence on Bikini Bottom, Barker's chief complaint hinges on her perception that the show's fictional setting of the town of Bikini Bottom is based on the non-fictional Bikini Atoll, a coral reef in the Marshall Islands used by the U.S. military for nuclear testing during the Cold War. The indigenous people of the area were relocated during the testing, which eventually rendered the area uninhabitable due to residual radiation. Barker finds it unjust that SpongeBob and his pals be allowed to, quote, occupy the area when the non-fictional indigenous people of the area do not have the option to return to their homeland. Which is ridiculous considering SpongeBob and his deep-sea pals, as they're called in this article here, obviously do not live on Bikini Atoll, they live under it, okay? They live in Bikini Bottom, they live under Bikini Atoll, they do not live on this island where these people were relocated from. So this is a ridiculous point in the first place. They're making it out like this whole show is just based on this island or whatever, and it's not. It's based on the seafloor miles under these islands. It's stupid. Talk about reaching for straws, you know what I'm saying? But as an American character, SpongeBob supposedly has, quote, the privilege of not caring about the detonation of nuclear bombs. In order to demonstrate this, the professor quotes one of the show's writers who said that the main character is, quote, a guy who could get super excited about a napkin but would not care if there was an explosion outside. Yeah, because they were being so literal about that, The show is to be taken so literally, you know what I'm saying? When you watch SpongeBob, you can always hear the nuclear detonations in the background of the show. I didn't know if you heard this in any of the episodes, but basically, like once every 3 episodes or so, you'll hear the MW2 nuke sound come in, like you drop the 25 kill streak and someone dropped the game-ending nuke, and basically they're just wiping the islands out above while you're watching the show. And none of the characters ever seem to care, because they're just going about, in jellyfish fields doing their thing, and they just don't care. And the writer basically proved it in an interview or whatever, where he, just was basically showing SpongeBob's impulsive behaviors, his naive character, his common lack of understanding of the world around him, things like that. That should be taken so literally, right? The detonations do not cause concern for the characters, as they did for the Bikinians, nor do they compromise SpongeBob's frequent activities like visiting hamburger joints or the beach with friends, writes Barker. Probably because in the show, the detonations never happen, because it's a children's show. SpongeBob and his friends supposedly perpetuate the past injustices against the indigenous people of Bikini Atoll through, quote, SpongeBob's occupation and reclaiming of the non-fictional location's lagoon. The setting of the show, Barker says, is, quote, symbolic violence. Okay, no it's not, because it's a children's show based on a location underneath a place where something like that actually happened. It is not symbolic violence. Now, if SpongeBob and all of them, marched in with an army and were kicking people out of a city and then took it, maybe then I would say, yeah, maybe this is symbolic violence. But that didn't happen, did it? I love how far people will go to just stretch something to just be like, oh my god, this is offensive. Oh my god, this is horrible. It's so ridiculous, man. But so if this is symbolic violence because they're living in the waters underneath the island, does that mean that in real life, the fish and the aquatic sea life that live underneath the islands today, does that mean that they're committing symbolic violence by living underneath those waters? They weren't given permission to live there. I mean, they're just sea creatures just doing their thing too. They aren't aware of what's going on above. Is it symbolic violence? Like, let's use the same logic here. Barker is also concerned with the, quote, a cultural appropriation of iconic Pacific Island representation supposedly evident within Bikini Bottom's, quote, token objectification of Oceania, taking particular issue with, quote, buildings shaped like pineapples, Easter Island statues, and tikis. She also laments the, quote, Hawaiian shirt motifs and sounds of steel guitars that are common themes on the children's show. Barker also attempts to dissect and problematize the cartoon's theme song with academic phrasing. The first act of the song is to have children identify who resides in the pineapple house. Oh my god. The children's response, repeated extensively throughout the song, affirms that the house and Bikini Bottom are the domain of SpongeBob. The song's directives, oh my god, don't say it, ensconced in humor, provide the viewer with an active role in defining Bikini Bottom as a place of nonsense, as the audience is instructed, if nautical nonsense be something that you wish, drop on the... Oh my god. By participating in the theme song sing-along, Barker says the viewer becomes an unwitting participant in co-opting of Bikini Bottom's story and the exclusion of the Bikini people. Yeah, I figured it was going to be something stupid. Anyway, apparently a show that takes place in the Pacific Ocean is not allowed to, have Pacific culture within it. I mean, these people literally live in the Pacific. These fish live in the Pacific Ocean, but no, they can't have Pacific Island representations and stuff, which is really stupid. But funny enough, she's about to have a huge problem with the American representation in the show too, and all the other cultural representation in the show too. So it's going to be really weird to understand which culture you want represented in the show from Barker here really soon. You can't have tiki heads. You can't have Pacific Island culture in the show, but please don't put hamburgers and American culture in the show, where the show's actually, directed and developed at. And the whole theme song argument is just ridiculous. Anyone who put that much thought into a children's theme song for SpongeBob SquarePants, I feel like you automatically lost your argument right there. While Barker admits that the show's creators likely did not have US colonialism in mind while developing the cartoon, she calls it disturbing that they did not realize that Bikini Bottom and Bikini Atoll were not theirs for the taking. How to admit that your argument did not win 101, and it doesn't have to be quote-unquote theirs for the taking. It's not a domain, you know what I'm saying? It's not, do we have permission to use geographical locations for our setting of our show? And here comes a really nice part here. The professor complains that, quote, all the main characters on the show are male, except for Sandy Cheeks the squirrel, who she suggests was only created in order to boost the gender diversity of the show. Well, see, here's the thing. SpongeBob was created in 1999, where things like this actually didn't really matter as much in shows. In 1999, and, even actually later than that, things like this, they weren't a big issue. Like, people really didn't care about gender diversity in TV shows. People didn't write stupid articles like this complaining about something like that. You know what I'm saying? And trying to make a big deal about SpongeBob living in some location in the water. But on top of that, this is actually just wrong. Okay, so I went to the SpongeBob Encyclopedia because I kind of figured what I thought was right, and just to compare, the list of main characters on this site, which, I would say is a decent source for SpongeBob information lists, the main characters right here, and as you can see, Mrs. Puff is a female, Pearl Krabs is a female, and so isn't Karen Plankton. So out of these 10 characters that you see, 4 of them are female, which is almost a completely even split of male to female. So not only did this academic professor who wrote this get this completely wrong from the jump, they couldn't even get something factually correct in a cartoon show that's been out for 20 years. And it's not like, Pearl and Mrs. Puff and Karen and all these are just characters that you see in 2 or 3 episodes. These are recurring characters that are in the show pretty much throughout the entirety of the show. They all play a very significant role in the show. Karen's married to Plankton. Mrs. Puff is the driving teacher for the entire city and also for SpongeBob. Pearl is Mr. Krabs' daughter. That's just ridiculous. The name Bob represents the everyday man, a common American male, much like a Joe, Barker observes, concluding that our gaze into the world of Bikini Bottom as well as the surface of Bikini is thus filtered through the activities of men. This doesn't even make sense. So, because the main character's name is Bob, or much less part of his name is Bob, literally everything that happens in Bikini Bottom is just the activities of men, even though there's a 40 to 60 split of men to women in the main character roles alone, according to the SpongeBob Encyclopedia, we should be uncomfortable with a hamburger-loving American community's occupation of a bikini's lagoon and the way that it erodes every aspect of sovereignty. So just a minute ago, we were complaining that, they were using Pacific communities' cultures, but now, they can't be, it's American communities' occupations, they love hamburgers and that's a problem. Which one is it? What's the problem here? Are they supposed to have no culture whatsoever? Is there supposed to be nothing that they enjoy? What can they do? You know what I'm saying? Can anyone win with these people? Obviously the answer is no. You can't win with people like this because they're always going to find something to nitpick and complain about, so they can write one of these articles and they can get a little bit of credit to their name, and then that's just how it always goes, but it's completely ridiculous. This is one of the dumbest articles I've ever read. I feel like I've lost points off my IQ just by reading something this stupid. You know what I'm saying? Oh my god, man. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on my channel. Follow me over on Twitter at @SubToptimus. I post memes, thoughts, and updates over there. It's a surefire way to get notifications of all my newest content. Join the Discord down below. Lots of great things going on down there as well. Thank you to my channel members. Your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, I guess, watching some SpongeBob, and signing out.